They're standing on Morocco. That's our biggest problem.
Is that a belief? Is that a belief to say that we're actually standing on Morocco,
Yes,
right?
that's fact.
On what basis of fact do you have? I'm not here to debate you, but I'm not clear about that, right? What basis of fact do you have to say that using that word base, right?
What word base?
Of Morocco. Morocco is.
You got to understand etymology now. Explain
Right.
to what etymology
Explain to me. Well, explain to the listeners, not to me,
all right.
Because to say that this is Morocco seems to me belief more than anything else.
Well, I can understand what you're saying. Just like if you say to a child, 2 and 2 is 4, and the child says, it seems to me that that's belief. The same thing with people that are not scholars. Now, let me give you a signal. Knowing that our people, half of our so-called leaders are COINTELPRO operatives, which means they're paid off to keep promoting this black thing and to disgrace this information rather than really raise people. That's number one. First signal of a COINTELPRO operative. Number two, I suggest if you want to know, write to the Library of Congress. Deal with Clocks of Destiny 1 and 2 with the certificates and get the information from the Library of Congress on Morocco here, etc. And then we can talk.
And this
because you, yes, exactly. That's why it's registered in the Library of Congress. Why is it registered in the Library of Congress? Because everybody knows that our people claim to be scholars know this information. But what they do, rather than actually raise the people, they actually try to create what they call schismata, divisions, arguments, no unity. They claim unity and do everything to the contrary without scholarship. If you ask them anything about unum sanctum, dum diversus, Romanus pontifex, the doctrine of discovery, the policies that are actually operating in every institution here that function against our people, they have no knowledge, but they're going to tell you about Africa.
Exactly, but let me explain this to you
real
real
problem
quick.
is.
In,
you understand?
in
It's
Philadelphia,
like, it's ridiculous.
We also called it Turtle Island, different ways. If you go to Philadelphia,
Yes.
I don't know how many of y'all went to Philadelphia. Go to Front and Market, you'll see a brother standing on top of a turtle, and it actually will tell you the Lenapes. If you ever read David McRitchie's books,
standards that represent the expanded nation of humanity on this planet called Earth, and they have nationalities.
you can go to
Only
Philadelphia.
time you get in these debates about colors and black and green and light-skinned, orange-skinned girlfriend and my light-skinned black leather shoes and stuff like that is when you get amongst phony scholars that keep on playing Afrocentricity that really aren't scholars at all, that are really more or less full of crap.
Okay.
And we need to look at that.
So which scholars are you saying, like Dr. John Henry Clark, right? Are you saying he's a pseudo scholar and a phony scholar?
This is what I'll say to you.
See, no, because wait, you have to be
one
real
of the
quick,
things. When I talked to Dr. Ben, you know what Dr. Ben said?
He studied the Moorish schools.
Dr. Ben, when he talked about, his travels that he had, the difficulties he had growing up, getting his education, he said, with all the struggles he'd been through, he never really got his solid and grounded education until he went to the Moorish universities in Spain.
And he was Ethiopian.
Okay.
Now, hold on.
And he was Ethiopian
Now,
also.
point is, it's interesting. Any scholar.
Because you take a quote from Dr. Ben,
No,
right?
that's just a quote. That's not a foundation.
But do you understand what you're doing to the listening audience when you do stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm informing them.
Right, you're informing them, but you're also directing the conversation.
I'm
You're creating a
informing,
bias.
exactly.
Because we also know Dr. Ben, and many of us studied with Dr. Ben,
Yes.
and he said many more things.
Yes.
We'll say that he went to those schools, but when he went to those schools, they weren't under no Moorish nationality.
Hold up.
They wasn't that. They was in Spain.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
It's not what I said. Take the wax out your ears. Take the wax out your ears.
I'm gonna be respectful because it's an elder.
No, don't be respectful. We're dealing with scholarship. See, my issue is this. I could take an ordinary dictionary. This is the point. Take an ordinary dictionary, a child's dictionary, any unabridged dictionary, from any one of these tables, right? Any one of these tables, and take you to a dictionary and take a child to a dictionary, give them basic grammar from 3rd grade and show anybody that they're Moors. What you find is that these people this is what happens because so many of our people have been compromised, and they get their their stipend from publishers for promoting the black thing that makes our people non-descendable. We're not talking about colors. We're not talking about the word itself. We're talking about the issue of descendability. The Christian Black Codes and the 14th Amendment was created to make these people of Moorish descent non-descendable. You can go into the records, the documents. We don't need to go ancient. Okay. Go into. Let me finish my statement. Let's go to law records dealing with Abraham Lincoln himself. This is documents talking about the issue of the status of these people here. And you know what the issue comes before the court? The distinction between Moors who are branded as black and Moors who acknowledge their bloodline dealing with their legal status. The same thing goes with the Dred Scott case, which is used around the planet.
That's not exactly true.
It is true.
That's not exactly true.
All right, give me the facts to the contrary. Give me the facts to the contrary. No, I don't ask you what you believe. Give me the facts to the contrary.
Let him present the facts. We know the difference between belief and the facts, not belief, facts. And then show us where it's at so we can research it.
Give us documents.
Because we will research.
Reference.
Al-Mansur, right? Al-Mansur, who is a Said, right? He approached the Queen of England with a treaty, right? Between the Moroccans and the Queens and the people of England, right? Because the Moroccans were concerned about being encroached by the Ottoman Empire and by Spain. So he offered a deal. That created two personalities when that happened. He presented himself to England as a Moor, right? But the people who he controlled were also slaves. So you had two groups of people. You had the Moroccan leadership, and then you had the ones with the slave identity. That's right. Now, when you come to Abraham Lincoln,
can we move over a little bit so he can pack up?
Yeah. Question.
What season are we in right now?
You know who that is, brother?
What season are we in right now?
Okay.
What season is this?
That's a legend.
What season is this right now?
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This whole issue about knowing even these dynamics that you're dealing with right here. Now we have the president, foreign diplomat, representing the United States Corporation Company. His name is Barack H. Obama. Barack H. Obama, knowing the problems that we have here at Morocco and knowing that our people's heads are messed up, and also knowing that the world is turning around, and knowing that for these generations to come, that some truths have to come out. So he went to Hijack, which is the proper name of Egypt. All scholars know that. Right now,
give me a reference.
Let me finish.
Give me a reference.
Let me finish. So he went to Hijack and exposed that the American Constitution is derived from Muslim law, which all scholars always knew, right? Now, Michelle triangulates go to the Alhambra, the last stronghold of the Moors. They have pictures taken of them by the international community coming through double doors, dealing with the Kabbalistic principles, ancient African culture, higher self, lower self. Guards standing right next to him with the Moorish flag big as day. Then they come back here and sign the rights of indigenous people for these people to declare their nationality, because the international community has been addressing this since 1948. Problem that you have is that you have fake scholars who keep getting paid off, that keep promoting these people as crayons, knowing that that makes them non-descendable. Whether it was black, green, purple.
Fake scholars? Give me a fake scholar.
Anybody that continues to call these people of Moorish Asiatic descent black, knowing it makes them non-descendable. We're talking about a political issue of estate and birthright.
Is Dr. John Henry Clark one of those? Who are you talking about?
He knows that these people are Moors.
Huh?
He knows that these people are Moors, so does everyone else.
Moors is just descriptive. You're not.
Well,
you're just
no, that's your
using it as
opinion.
descriptive.
That's your opinion.
Because I don't see.
Give me
I
the
don't see
fact. Give me the facts. Give me the
I don't-
facts.
Where does the word derive from?
Give me the
Who
facts.
First used the word.
It's short for
Moors?
Moroccan.
Right. And when did it originate? When it become in
It comes
use?
from ancient Moabite, from Central America, what you call
Right.
Old Mex,
Yeah.
Old Amexem.
Okay, I got you.
Yes.
All right. So in England, right? When
Yeah.
Al-Mansur
Yeah.
began to have conversations at the
Yeah.
embassy in England, right?
Yes.
That is when
Was he sitting around talking about black people, or was he talking about Moors?
He was talking about his.
Was he talking about black
his
people, or was he talking about
Islamic-
Moors?
He was
I'm gonna
talking
ask you
about
a question
his
again.
Islamic.
Was he talking about black people, or was he talking about Moors?
He wasn't talking about black people. He was
Of
talking
course he
about.
wasn't,
No, he
because
wasn't.
it's a brand that has its life in North America from Dutch masters after they came to North America.
He was talking about his sultan. That's what he was talking
Of
about.
course,
During
yes.
work, Al-Mansur was.
Let me ask you a
yes.
question. What was his nationality?
His nationality, he was a sultan.
No, it's nationality.
I asked you what his nationality
He
was.
said
They were
nationality,
forming-
not the
they were
title.
forming
That's the
nations.
title.
I didn't
So
ask you his
nationality?
position.
They weren't even
Hold up.
forming nations.
Listen, he said, what is his
I
nationality?
didn't ask you his position. I asked
What
you
is
his
the
nationality.
Not his title. It's like saying Esquire.
Al-Mansur was establishing the Moroccan.
I didn't
Empire.
ask you what he was
What is
doing.
his
I asked you what his
We keep
nationality.
Going back to that, we saying what is his nationality? What was his nationality?
I don't believe that it was a nation.
I didn't ask you what your beliefs are. I asked you what was his nationality.
asked
Okay, watch this.
Because you keep bringing him up.
I am bringing him. Do you know who he is?
Because-
First of all,
No, we
Sure
know
I
who he is,
do.
but
You
we
know
just
who he
asked his nationality. We just
Did he?
hold on. We
Was
didn't
he
ask
have
his
a
nationality.
I don't believe he had a nationality. That's my point. You're saying his
Conversation's
nationality
over.
was Moroccan?
Conversation's over.
Conversation's over.
Any communication between any peoples on the planet is called diversity. And when you're dealing with treaties and you're dealing with constitutions, you're dealing with nation states. Whether you go to Philadelphia at the Parkway or whether you go to the United Nations, you will have flags that represent the birth of humanity from a woman's womb. And it's called nations, nativity. And anybody that's outside of that paradigm is outside of the human family. That's what our problem has been.
It was
And
a sultanship,
let me finish.
Elder. It was a sultanship.
I'm
They did not
asking
have a
you- I didn't ask
constitution.
you-
They didn't have a constitution.
If they're dealing with another nation state, they got a constitution.
They had a caliphate.
Constitution.
Hold up. He wants to know. He said he's learning. He said he wanted to know what his nationality was because it didn't get answered. So these are the people that wants
Your
to know.
nationality is more. Now, just cut through the chase. Cut through the chase. Cut through the chase. Like this little baby here, right? You remember when you was in school? When you're all right. This is what you're going to have. I thought it was your daughter. Go ahead, Mom.
1 second. Let me go get it.
Anyway, they will tell you about Columbus, Isabella, Ferdinand, and they will tell you before they came to the Western Hemisphere for conquest that they defeated the Moors. Then soon as you get past the 1700s and soon as you get into the 1800s, all of a sudden, the Moorish history so-called disappear, and now these people are called coons, blacks, and niggers, and they think that that's a nationality, which it is not. The bloodline is Moor, which is short for Morocco. Every secret society, when you travel,
Masons.
little baby, when you travel and you start seeing the different people that govern here, I don't care whether they're Europeans or Asiatics, they will go to secret societies, lodges, whether Knights of Columbus Shriners, Masons, Eastern Star, and one of the first lessons they're going to get is a Ruth the Moabitess. Moabite, Moor is short for Moabite. That's the people on this planet called Earth with hair like lamb's wool, skin like burnished brass as if burnt in an oven, who now think that human beings are crayons. And it's interesting that we have scholars, this time, 2015, that still think people are crayons. Let me tell you, baby, human beings are not crayons. They honor their mothers and fathers, and they have a nationality. The reason why, one of the major political reasons why our people are so mistreated is because they're the only people on the planet that become adults that still think human beings are crayons, talking about green people and purple people and pinstripe people, and don't matter what color you are. Go to a law book and look at color, and you know what it means? A semblance, a simulacrum, as distinguished from that which is real. persons who claim these brand systems that were set up by Dutch masters at North America in law are called wards of the state. They are non-descendable. Any wealth that's passed down from their foreparents will be taken by the states because they are held as being in dishonor. And I suggest to you, even though you have young eyes and you're a little girl, pay attention to what's around you. When you see other Asiatics and Africans come here to North America, they'll deal with us and they'll do business with us. But you will not see them integrate into communities where we are. We are outcasts because we're the only people that continue to put this crazy, ignorant, foul crap on our offspring, calling them colors, knowing that it's a fraud.
That color thing went on a long time ago. But what I want to ask you is regarding the Moorish Americans. So is it your belief that it was Noble Drew Ali? Right, because that's what. Go ahead. Because this is my understanding of it. That after the Moors were supposedly, beaten, and everything was taken away from them, that Noble Drew Ali came north and landed and ended up in Philadelphia. So is this where that stems from, or is it not where that stems from?
That's a renewal, or what you call a reestablishment of consciousness. But the bloodline was always there. And as soon as you do some research, anybody that does any research in world records, do military research and military documents, and it's traceable. As soon as you start getting to what you call John D. Rockefeller institutions that were set up since 1902, that's the General Education Board, then these people think that human beings are crayons. Right. And they'll start meaning that, like, if you go to a civilized person, whether they're from Europe or Africa, they will not start talking about human beings or crayons. You come here, and these people are debating green people and orange people and light-skinned, orange-skinned, black people. That does not go in the civilized world.
I don't understand what you mean.
It's a brand system.
I know when they used to refer to black people as being colored.
Which means artificial.
Right, and I had my 9-year-old daughter in Florida tell another young girl about 7 or 8 years old that, that she's black. Colored is a crayon, like red, purple, blue, and green, and said to the little white girl, you turn all those colors, so you must be colored. So, right. So my understanding is when you're talking about nationality, then in general you're saying that, us, the black race, our nationality is of Moors from Morocco.
Yes. I'm going to put this out here for everybody. You should get this book for her if you can find it. He might have it over there. Every time I go do a lecture or I'm speaking, I always tell people to get J.A. Rogers' book. J.A. Rogers wrote this book in 1920s. In his book, there's a chapter, and it speaks of we were Ethiopians and Moors before the 1500s. So black was a modern term. It was actually spelled B-L-E-A-C. So that's how it was set up. So when you go read J.A. Rogers' book, most people don't touch J.A. Rogers. But J.A. Rogers put it out. It's 100 amazing facts, not belief, not our opinion, but the facts. And what he does, he gives you a list of where you can find information that to tie everything together. And another thing they should do is study etymology. I was with a young guy. He's like my son. He's 5 years old. I asked him his complexion. You know exactly what he said. If I asked her complexion, what do you think she'll say?
I'm going to tell you what she thinks she is.
Now, what's your complexion?
African?
No, I see your complexion.
Question, your color.
Black?
No, what color do you think you are? Your color. What do you call your color?
Peach?
Peach.
Peach, right? So what color is this?
It's not funny.
Black?
This black, right? So do you look like this?
No.
Does your skin
Okay.
look like that?
So what I'm saying to you that, like again, you ask a child these things. What happened, we dumb the children down as they get older. And if you ask them basics, if it's not that people are running, there was 2 little girls that were from Jamaica. I believe they was from Ohio. And they kept calling them black, and the 2 students said we're not black. And I don't know if you heard about it. It was about last year, and the teacher called them a nigger because they didn't accept the term black because they knew exactly who they were.
Let me ask him something. Brother Larry, you always say black, and the reason why do you choose to use the word or identify us as black?
When we say black in America, we're talking about diametric opposition to white supremacy. We are not under the illusion that we are black. We have brown hair, brown eyes, and brown skin, right? When individuals create straw man arguments out of the terminology in order to prove their points, right, which are historically inaccurate, right? I want to state definitively that we are not Moors, okay? That Moors, historical Moors, they have a history, a birth record, a birth date, and a termination, at which time they exit historical records, right? Now, we do not exit the historical record. We have no set birth record. You cannot find the origins of my people. You have white people combing the planet right now trying to find out where we came from, digging all over Ethiopia, looking at bones, trying to say that. I'm using common terminology if you allow me to make my points, right? Now, this is one way that we stunt intellectual growth. We take terms and then we go off on tangents about the term and the meaning of the term, right? Understanding is where I'm dealing with, right? So that these people that are digging in Africa for the origins of civilizations are white people. That's what we call them. When you look at Mary and Richard Leakey, we call those white people, okay? That's a common reference and we know to whom we're referring, right? Now, when we use the common reference in America of black people, we know to whom we're referring. We do not mean anything derogatory when we say that. To say that we mean or to imply that we mean something derogatory when we say that is disingenuous, right? Now, in furtherance of an agenda, okay? You have to understand that. All right. Of course. Peace.
Peace, family. Study. Go to a dictionary. Get an unabridged dictionary for the baby. And remember this. Remember this, baby. Law and history goes together. When they're not taught together, whoever is trying to teach you is handicapping you and they're handicapped. Now, third grade grammatication. Study that. Etymology. The argument would be over. There is no argument. There's only argument when people
keep up the good work, bro.
Scholars.
Keep up the good work, Saneter. Peace to everybody, 125th Street.
We're going to continue to
now,
with the younger generation. That's the
now,
happy hip-hop
sister, before you go, right? Before you go.
Brother Ron, what up?
Now, I stood quietly by, and I stood quietly by because this is being recorded, right? While Taj Bey and that young brother told you what they told you, right? What I'm going to say to you, right, sister, is history is an inquiry and interpretation of past events, okay? And inquiry, that means you looking at what happened, right? And interpretation, that means you're interpreting what happened, okay? So now, in 711 AD, you had a group of Islamicized people from North Africa conquer the landmass on the Iberian Peninsula, okay? The general name was Tariq ibn Zayd, okay? Those people are known in history as Moors, okay? They lost after about 700 and something years. They were defeated and expelled from the Iberian Peninsula, right? And then they attacked the kingdoms in Africa, okay?
That's correct.
Throughout their history,
That's correct.
throughout their history in the Iberian Peninsula, right? They were attacking the black kingdoms in Africa.
That's correct.
The first major empire in West Africa was destroyed by Muslims from this period.
So why we Ghana.
Listen. If Muslims that are being called Moors come and attack your people and destroy them, how are you the same as them? You understand? So now that would be the Almoravids who destroyed Ghana, right?
correct.
So now when we talk about these people, just because they're brown, and we look back from the diaspora at these people and we identify with them just because they're brown, okay? And Europeans identified them with the continent of Africa as black people, as Moors. We're looking back through the discolored lens of the historical record. Because we're in a society where we were deprived of history, deprived of knowledge, deprived of even reading, okay, for the longest time as a means of population control over us, okay? So now we're looking at the historical record and we're claiming these people as our people.
And we're as revisionists.
But these people were attacking our people, okay? So when you have individuals saying, no, these were us, this is our bloodline, right? Now, that's your daughter or your granddaughter. That's your bloodline, okay? Those historical Moors are not your bloodline.
What is your nationality?
When you look, once again, yo, you see the child?
That's a Moor. That's a Moor right there.
There's a child there.
Listen, right? What I'm saying, what I'm saying is when you look, right? You know that we are in a state of confusion. How do we know it? How many organizations do we have with people who look like us who claim that there's something totally different from the other organization? At the same time saying that, before we can move forward, we need unity, okay? Which means we need to come together, right? The only avenue that we haven't attempted, sister, in the acquisition of unity is we all call ourselves different things. We have never convened a conference to decide and declare that we are going to call ourselves one thing. That is the cornerstone of unity, identification. If you don't identify with someone, how are you going to unify with that person?
And just for a few minutes, right? So I started a conversation with the elder Tariq Bey, right? And I was just trying to be polite to the brother, right? Because he's an elder, right? But the people underneath him, they're going to have to show and prove using historical facts what they say. These terms like Moor and Morocco and things like that, and that's what we are, right? That is more religious than anything else because they themselves are creating a mythology that they take whole groups of people, like Arab people, who are conquering Spain, right? And then turn around, or Al-Andalus as it was called, and conquering North Africa, which is called the Maghreb, which they call, and they're making these people something that they weren't in history. They never called themselves what he's calling them now, but all of a sudden he feels that he has the right to call them that. They were called at most the Umayyads and at most the Saracens, right? But he is coming back and he is saying, no, that they were Moors. On what history? On what basis of fact? And when we ask him, it gets spin. So when we are talking about something like the Moroccan Empire, right? And he's asking me what nationality that they were at the time that me and Brother Larry are talking about, they weren't no nationality. They were simply Islamic dissidents and tribes. Families and tribes.
Those were man. No, 12
tribes.
tribes. Sister, the 12 tribes, sister, that's the zodiac.
Right.
Okay.
The circumpolar, when you know astrology,
I do.
and you have the signs like Aries and Taurus,
Yes.
that's your 12 tribes.
Okay.
Those symbols, those are the circumpolar constellations that are always visible, right?
See what he's saying? This is what Larry's saying. See, we read tribal Morocco. You see? So Larry's correct. They were tribes. They weren't, at this particular moment, they weren't anything but a tribe. But continue.
But now, when you look at, you know what, sister? Current events will give you a actual understanding to what was actually occurring in the past. When you look at ISIL, the Islamic State in Syria, right? When you look at ISIL, the Islamic State in Syria, and you see Muslims coming from all over the Islamic world and going to Syria to fight with them, right? Now, How do we look at from the West with the reporting that we're getting and the identification that they're giving to these people? How are we looking at them? We're looking at them like that's one group of people fighting a jihad, right? Those are Muslims, right? We don't get the fact that you got black people from Trinidad, black people from Africa, Arabs from over here, Arabs from over there, going over there, white people from different parts of Europe, all going over there fighting under that banner, okay? The same way when you had the Moors fighting in Spain, you had Muslims coming from all over fighting. It's just that the elite troops of those people were black ex-slaves of those Arabs that rose up and was leading. Tariq ibn Zayd, Gibraltar's named after this dude, okay? But these are the ones who distinguished themselves and impressed upon the Europeans that they were fighting. Well, they wasn't Europeans at the time, they were Goths, right? Visigoths, under the leadership of Roderick, King of the Visigoths, right? And they impressed upon these people that they were the fiercest fighters. So naturally, this is how these people know them or knew them historically. So when we look at the historical record, it says Moors. But then when we look around, it says Tawny Moors.
All right, brother.
Oh, wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Thanks for tuning in once again. Today, real quick, we're going to talk about the Mesha Stele, or the Moabite stone. A lot of people ask me about Moorish science, information and history and teachings. So I wanted to remind everybody real quick before I begin. I do have a series I did a couple years back. It's this one right here. There's a whole playlist, 6 parts. It's called No More Misunderstanding. This is the cover for part 1. All right. As it says here, the Moorish Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He said that, huh? Who are the Moabites? Again, this is 6 parts of this series. If you haven't checked these videos out, make sure to check those out, combining historical records and scripture. So again, we're going to be talking about the Mesha Stele today. I've mentioned it before. Again, I have a lot of new subscribers, so I like to go over some information. It says here that the Mesha Stele, also known as the Moabite stone, is a stele dated around 840 BC, containing a significant Canaanite inscription in the name of King Mesha of Moab, a kingdom located in modern Jordan. Mesha tells how Chemosh, the god of Moab, had been angry with his people and had allowed them to be subjugated to the kingdom of Israel. But at length Chemosh returned and assisted Mesha to throw off the yoke of Israel and restore the lands of Moab. Mesha also describes his many building projects. It is written in a variant of the Phoenician alphabet. We're talking about a Paleo-Hebrew script. This is an actual archaeological artifact. Official, it's in the Louvre Museum collections. It's been there. It was discovered in the 1860s. Supposedly, they can't pinpoint the origin because they could have found it here in America and brought it over there, talking about they found it over there. We're still digging on that, but we know with a lot of those artifacts, they're saying are from over there. A lot of them actually were found here. Either way, it's a historical artifact in the museum's collection. There's many writings on it. It has been publicly declared to be an official artifact with official Paleo-Hebrew writing, Old Original Hebrew. As it says in this book, Moab's Patriarchal Stone, being an account of the Moabite stone, its story and teaching by the Reverend James King, authorized lecturer to the Palestine Exploration Fund. This is from 1878. So this kind of goes over the discovery of the stone, the artifact, the whole story behind it. Chapter 2 actually talks about the land of Moab, in order that our readers may better appreciate the invaluable inscription on the Moabite stone. We think it desirable to sketch briefly the more striking features in the history of the land of Moab. Moab was the elder son of Lot, and the name literally signifies seed of the father. Remember that Lot is Abraham's nephew. So again, Moab can mean seed of the father, or according to some philologists, the desirable land, a term fitly applied to the district from the great fertility of the soil. All right, Moab. So where was the real ancient Moab? Check out the video I did with Moses in America, Deuteronomy 34, in Utah. Is that what we're talking about when we're talking about Moab? Lot's younger son was called Ben-Ami. And while the Moabites were descendants of Moab, Moabites, who's the Moabites? Descendants of Moab. The Ammonites were the descendants of Ben-Ami. Thus we see that these tribes were related to each other, being descended from two brothers. Alright, in chapter 6 it says here the letters of the Moabite stone. The English alphabet is taken from the Roman from the Greek from the Phoenician or Paleo-Hebrew, which is generally accounted to be the oldest alphabet in the world. Alright, so I'm in another book. It says here the inscription of the Stele of Mesha, commonly called the Moabite stone. The text in Moabite and Hebrew with translation by H.F.B. Compton, M.A. Vicar Breadworthy. This is from 1919. It says here, the inscription here set forth is accepted with practical unanimity on the part of experts as authentic. Okay? Authentic. This is not a hoax. This is not considered a modern creation. This is authentic. This inscription is in the Louvre Museum again. It was chiseled on a monument of basalt by order of the Mesha, king of Moab, who is mentioned in 2 Kings 3:4, and who here recounts his victories over Israel, to whom Moab had long been subject. So they're mentioning Israel in this authentic script, this artifact telling a story of the ancient Moabites' victory over the sons of Jacob, the tribes of Israel. Israel was real. It is historic. To the student of paleography, it offers a good specimen of Phoenician script, parent of alphabets, used not only by Moab, but by Israel. All right, same language they spoke. So the Moabite people, right? Moabites, members of a West Semitic people. They are known principally through information given in the Old Testament from the inscription on the Moabite stone. The Moabites belong to the same ethnic stock as the Israelites. Their ancestral founder, Moab, son of Lot, who was a nephew of the Israelite patriarch Abraham. Right? This is real history, not just Bible stories. This is what we're telling you. So again, we go to Thomas Drew, or Noble Drew Ali, Moorish Science Temple of America. It was founded by Noble Drew Ali in the early 20th century. He based it on the premise that African Americans are descendants of the Moabites. Moabite, and thus are Moorish because they're Moabites, sometimes also spelled Moorish by adherents, by nationality, and Islamic by faith. So they're Moabites, ancient Moabites. So I'm in the Library of Congress, and we're gonna take a look real quick at the original, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the Circle 7 Quran, written by Thomas Drew, or the Noble Drew Ali. This is the cover right here, page 3 of this book, and you guys are going to notice that Jesus is all over this book. Yes, the writings of the Aquarian Gospels of Jesus is actually in here, but down here it says Noble Drew Ali by the Prophet. It says the industrious acts of the Muslims of Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, Hamites, Canaanites, who were driven out of the land of Canaan by who? By Joshua. Why were they driven out? Moabites, Hamites, Canaanites. And who's Joshua's people? Because if his people, right, Muslims or Moors, are all these people, then who's Joshua's people? He's not pale skin. This is not the so-called white man. He's from the tribes of Israel. a descendant of Jacob. Joshua driving out the ancient Moabites out of the Holy Land. Yeah, they were over here too. Not just Moabites though. Yeah, in ancient America, there was many nations. If you guys go check out the series I have, again, No More Misunderstanding, from part 1 to part 6, you guys understand in scripture that there was lots assigned to specific people, but some people did not obey those lots and they wanted to settle in other lots, a lot that was not promised to them. So again, they're saying, right, that so-called African Americans are descendants of Moabites and thus are Moorish. So that's Drew Ali saying you're the ancient Moabites if you're Moorish. It's not just about complexion, and not all so-called black Europeans are Moors. Again, check out the series for the whole breakdown as to why I'm saying what I'm saying. It may be a little older, but it's still relevant. We can definitely update the series eventually. So again, page 58, Thomas Drew, he says, he's talking about Cush and Ham and how they left Canaan and settled in Africa. The dominions of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, northwest and southwest, was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Land joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit the northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. This is the true possessors of the Moroccan Empire. Again, he's letting you know the Muslims, these are the Moabites, the Moors, these are the Moabites, Hamites, Canaanites, who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua, Israel, and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called to this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. Noble Drew Ali letting you know what he says a Moor is. Ancient Moabites, huh? So again, we have a real artifact telling a real story between the wars of the Moabites and the Israelites. Moabites, the ones Drew Ali is talking about, against Israelites. Yeah, this is more than just Bible stories. Again, the inscription of Mesha, or the Moabite stone. Alright, so this is what they're finding, just like the Los Lunas stone, right? We have here in New Mexico, same writing, Paleo Hebrew. A lot of this script is found all over ancient America. We've gone over that many times. So this is what they're finding in the Moabite stone, telling the story of the ancient Moabites, Drew Ali's people, who he's saying the ancient Moors are, and Joshua's people, Israel. So this is the translation, the literal I am Asa, son of Chemos, king of Moab, right? The Moabite, king of Moab, and his war against Omer, the king of Jisrael, Israel. Yeah, it's real. Israelites was real. Joshua did kick out the Moabites out of Canaan for a reason. And this stone even talks about the tribe of Gad. Now the men of Gad had dwelt in the land of Tyrod from old, and the kings of Israel built for himself. And I fought against the city and took it, and I slew all the people. He's talking about how he killed all the Israelites. This is a Moabite king. Remember, this is their side of the story. So this is a historical artifact that we're not reading the Bible. I just wanted you guys to see that there's a real history behind all these teachings, behind all these nations. They're calling Moabites. Drew Ali is saying it's the Moors. Ancient Moors are Moabites. It says here, Ahab Agonistes, The Rise and Fall of the Omri Dynasty by Lester Graby, discovered in Diban. All right, they're talking about the Mesha stone we were just looking at. It says the Mesha stele is not only one of the most important ancient West Semitic inscriptions exhibited in the Louvre Museum in Paris. This is an official artifact. It is also probably the most famous text for the confrontation between the Bible and the contemporary Near Eastern inscriptions. Actually, one reads there not only the name of the country Moab, the name of its king Mesha, all right, the country of the Moabites, who Drew Ali was talking about, of its god Kamosh, as well as many place names. You also see the name of Israel, the name of its king Omri, and of its god Hawa, Yahweh, as well as the name of the traditional Israelite tribe of Gad. All right, even Gad is up in there. We just showed you that. Says many commentators have interpreted the wars of Mesha mentioned in the stele as the Israelite-Moabite war recounted in 2 Kings 3:4-8. All right, it's in there. It's in the Bible, and they found an inscription that proves that part of the Bible. Again, the Mesha stele, if you guys Google it, you guys will get it. It's a real artifact. Here we have a good close-up of it. All right, the parts that were restored. As you guys can see, this is the lettering, Paleo-Hebrew, all right? Matching exactly what Drew Lee is saying about the Moors, right? He's saying they're the ancient Moabites, Hamites, and Canaanites who were driven out of the land of Canaan. They had war with Israel. This is real. As Kondrop says, more on more war, or black on black crime. Make sure to check out the series again if you haven't. No More Misunderstanding. Again, the inscription of the stele of Mesha, the Moabite stone. Who's the ancient Moors? The Moabites. They had war with Jasharallah. It's more than just Bible stories. Just ask Drew Ali who Joshua was. And all skin folk ain't con folk. Shout out to Con Drop. Hope you guys enjoyed this little brief video. Just wanted to remind everybody about my series and show you that this is more than just something you read about in the Circle 7 Quran or in the Bible. This was actual real history. And a lot of this, again, when they're talking about Canaan, guys, the real Holy Land, we're talking about America. So picture all that happening here in America. Much love and respect. Thanks for tuning in once again. Pura vida, mi gente. Wow.